Good morning, good people. Today is July 12th, 2025. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Here we are, Department of Career Services. Need to change that. My name is Edward Bevilacqua, and our purpose for being here is to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life. Or another way to say it is, or to experience life in the best way possible, where we are both honoring the gifts that we have and honoring the giver. Okay, that's pretty good, right? So on the weekends, we call it G.school. Monday through Friday, we call it Department of Career Services, and we focus Monday through Friday on the physical, honoring the giver, the gifts, and the giver, the physical gifts, the mental gifts, and the emotional gift that we have. Saturday, Sunday, G.school, where we focus on the spiritual side. So Monday through Friday is the gift of life. We have further broken down into 3 areas. We have a body, gift of a body that enables us to do things as opposed to other living organisms created by God, like plants, like anything baryonic, rocks, dust mites, swans, anything. We have this body that enables us to do wonderful, miraculous things. We have endurance. We can go around the whole globe, given enough time. By water, by boat, we're the only animals that can really do that. Mental, we're the only animal that has a brain that's anything closely as complex as the universe. So our brain, the human brain, is the most complex thing in the universe other than the universe. So we've been given a gift to that, and our brain is much more complex than that of any other creature. And emotions, we've been given the gift of these emotions, very powerful emotions, which we have the ability to learn to control. And these emotions enable us, help us, propel us, prevent us, whatever, from just doing, responding to things that happen in front of us. We're going to talk more about that when we get to the categorical imperative part of our, so that's a good segue into, so this is day six of week 4, day 6 in our neuroscience approach to success. All right. And today we're talking about the categorical imperative. What's that? Yeah, well, we'll find out. And so, caveat, disclaimer, notice, G.school is only for people who are not saved. So we have a lot of people, it's pretty much the norm. Somebody who is already saved finds fault with what follows. Fair enough. But the thing is, those are people who are already saved. So it's like, no, you're wrong. It's not this, it's that. I'm already saved. You need to do this. Just tell them Jesus loves them. Let God, let go, let God. That doesn't work with people, adults who are not Christians. Yes, it works with kids who are sponges. Doesn't work with adults who have a whole lifetime of experiences. Doesn't work. Not the way to go. Yeah, okay. It works occasionally, but statistically, it is not a good strategy. And the reality, the numbers, the actual numbers from people find out, figure this out. The actual numbers is that for every one person who becomes a Christian, 6 people leave the church. Now, of those 6, maybe more than half become spiritual, not religious. I don't need the church. I don't need organized religion. I'm spiritual. The logical extension of having a relationship with Jesus is I don't need the church. I can just do it on my own. I'm talking to Jesus. The Holy Spirit is imbued in me, and it tells me what to do. The only problem with that is false. That's dead wrong. The idea that when those people are interviewed in a good faith way, tell me about your Jesus. Tell me about tell me about your Jesus. Well, everybody has a unique personal view of Jesus that doesn't match the Jesus who actually lived. So how do you know it's Jesus? If you ask Jesus, you're having a conversation. By the way, having a conversation with Jesus in your mind, in your prayer closet, wherever, and you say, Jesus, tell me what it was like when you grew up. You either A, don't get an answer, or the answer you get is not factual or actual. And if it is factual or actual, that's only because the person has an outside knowledge of that time, place, etc. You don't have people who have a 6th grade adults, 30-year-old adults, poor work history, a lot of drug use, who are talking to Jesus every day. You don't have those people talking about things that they have no knowledge of. And the things they talk about are not factually supported. And for them, that's okay because it's Jesus. And so on the thing of discernment, discernment actually requires 2 people, one person to tell the story and another person to help the process of discernment, because there can be unclean spirits pretending to be clean spirits. Now, this is where the pitchforks come out. So let me just leave it as, if you are already saved, this is not designed for you. You're more than welcome. And my suggestion and advice is to approach it as a student, not as a critic. And if you are financially successful, this is not for you. This is also not for you. This is for the people, the everyday people who are not Christians, who are struggling in life. They sincerely want to find a path. They haven't given up. Or maybe they've mostly given up, but there's just that one last finger on the holding on to the life preserver, not letting go. The life preserver isn't really doing any good right now because you're just holding on one finger, but they're still holding on. So this is who it's for. And good morning, what not a bevy, you are at work. Okay, how's the weather in Fort Jacks? How is Edward, etc.? Okay, tell them to change the locks. Tell them to immediately today change the locks. Go through each room, make sure every door is locked. If he has a combination lock on his door, which he should just change his key lock to spend $100, $150, get a good Schlage combination lock, put it on the door. So in case he does anything like that in the future, bammo, change it, but he's got to get those locks changed immediately. Have a neighbor, tell a neighbor, hey, can you watch my house? I'm going to get a new lock for the door. Or call a locksmith, take the lock off the door, bring it to a locksmith. But that's the most important thing to do right now. Okay, anyway, on with the show, people, on with the show. Here we are in solidarity with one another. Today's themo-memo is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Navy SEAL orientation to life. Not too shabby. Yesterday I started my road trip. I made a concoction of this. Yesterday, my everyday dose plus my protein. Focused on getting out on time, got in the car, got 10 minutes down the road, and I left my tumbler in my room. So got back last night at 11. This was sitting out in my tumbler and put it in the refrigerator. Still tastes good. Okay, we'll see. 6 hours from now, we'll see if it was still good. All righty then. Okay, the themo-memo. Oops, what happened? The themo-memo for today is what? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Navy SEALs thing. Advice from an 80-year-old. Here's some good advice from an 80-year-old. Show respect for everyone who works for a living, regardless of how trivial their job. Right. They've committed to doing the things that need to be done, to exchanging their time and labor for money, and the money they use to buy food, clothing, shelter, the basic necessities, and to put them on a path to earn more so they have more disposable income, where they can go to a movie or do something, have a little bit nicer dinner, not just rice and beans at night, have something a little bit nicer, work a little bit harder, smarter, get a little bit more money, get on that proverbial treadmill until you don't have to. But always keeping perspective that we don't live to work, we work to live. Right you are, righto. Okay. Our TED Talk today, Kingdom of Heaven, Categorical Imperative. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Let's look at Seth Godin. Flailing. That's not like, was it to flail? Flail is, what is that called? Fillet. No. Anyway, there's a cooking term, not type of meat. Flailing. There isn't much of a correlation between how fast you swim and how much energy you put into it. In fact, drowning people burn plenty of calories, but they don't go anywhere. Right. When we're confronting a new problem, more effort might not be the answer. It could be that we benefit by staying calm and focusing on our technique instead. Right. It kind of reminds me of something. I think it was from Einstein or some other mathematician, that when solving an unknown problem, spent like 90% in preparing to solve the problem or something like that, and 10% actually doing it. So most of the energy, most of the effort was kind of framing it, setting it up, trying to get it properly positioned, aligned, understanding what was around it. And then the smaller amount of time was spent actually putting it together. Which reminds me of something else I learned. So this was something I read this week. I did share it with Nada Bevy, and it had to do with the concept of evil in the world. Why would God allow evil? Since there is evil, God must allow it. or God can't prevent it. So either there's something God can't do, or it's something that God allows, or perhaps even created, if you want to play word games and say everything was created by God, because God is omniscient, omnipresent, and what's the other omni one? That there's nothing God can't do, nothing God can't know, etc., etc. And therefore evil is in the world because God allows it or created it, and leaning towards the creative part. But on the other hand, if you ask the question, what is cold? Is there cold in the world? You could say, well, yes, there's differences in temperatures, but what is cold? Cold is the absence of heat, or the reduction in heat. Absolute cold means there is no energy. Heat. There's no heat. There's no energy. It's a lack. Cold is the lack of heat. It's not a thing in itself. It's the lack of heat. Just like, let's say, darkness. Darkness is the lack of light. There is no thing that is dark, just like there is no thing that is cold. Darkness is the absence of light. You can't take a prism and split darkness into any other shades of darkness, right? But you can take a prism and separate light into many hues. So light, or darkness, is the absence of light. Cold is the absence of heat. Evil is the absence of what? Love. Right. So the idea would be absence is or evil is the absence of love. Say God's love. And I think it's not hard, if you are a believer, it's not hard to put that together and say, oh yeah, boy, that really makes sense. That really explains evil. It's not a thing in itself, it's the absence of a thing. Just as cold is the absence of heat, and light or dark is the absence of light, evil is the absence of love. You could say God's love, because if God is in all things, then human love, um, or animal love, or whatever, would contain, God would be part of that. God is in all things, so in love there is God, etc. So it makes sense to say, yeah, evil is the absence of love. It's not a thing in itself, just like cold is not a thing, it's the absence of heat. Darkness is not a thing, it's the absence of light. It's what you get when you have no light, no heat, no love, is evil. Something to think about. Okay, categorical imperative. We have 1 minute to talk about the categorical imperative. Categorical imperative is a way to figure out whether what you're thinking about doing is a good thing to do. And in a very simple formulation, you can say, should I do this? Well, let me ask this question. If it was a law and everybody did it, would the world be a better place? And if you can answer yes, then it passes the categorical imperative test. And it turns out it's a pretty good test created by Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, one of the big names in history. Categorical imperative. Okay, people, we'll continue tomorrow. As always, appreciate being here. The purpose of the daily podcast is to build better habits. We build better habits by having a routine, and then repetition until not doing it feels wrong, feels bad. And we have a lot of habits like that. As I noticed last night when I got home dead tired at 11 after 900 miles of driving, I still had to do my nightly routine because I couldn't get to bed without it. And that is time. See you all tomorrow because it's such a runic rhyme.